Hey, what's up YouTube? Here's the 6th video from my low man series, and in this one I'm going to show you how to 3-man Taniks the Abomination. What's nice about this low man is that your class setup can be pretty diverse. There's only a few things you need to have going into this to make it easy. The suppressor role requires a very fast class with high movement abilities, so you can either use Icarus Dash on Top Tree Dawnblade for the Warlock or go with the Stasis Titan. My POV is going to show the Titan since it's a bit different, while the Warlock is really straightforward for this role. All you do is dash from one spot to the next. Titan exotics I've liked have been Armamentarium for the second aid. This helps when trying to get your melee back with the second aspect that gives melee energy from the crystals. I've also used Mask of the Quiet One to get ability energy back, but to make sure I had my melee back in time, I had to kind of bot out and just tank some damage. You can do suppressor without the melee ability, but it makes it faster and more consistent if you have it ready. For damage, a Lunafaction Wall of Radiance allows you to use slug shotguns because of the range boost you get from the Lunas. The other class has no requirement. Most clears I've seen have used a Nighthawk Hunter, but you could also use a Titan for bubble. So either 2 Warlocks, 1 Titan with bubble, or 2 Warlocks and a Nighthawk, or a 1-1-1 with a Stasis Titan. Any of those combos can be used. Alright, weapons. Divinity is really useful for Taniks because he can be pretty erratic with his movements, which makes consistent precision shots more difficult. The Divi player can pair it with Falling Guillotine to make quick work of the captains that spawn throughout the fight, and then whichever primary you want. You can run double special, just make sure you have full Divinity ammo by the time damage starts. The non-well players can also use special ammo finisher to help with the ammo economy for everyone if you're finding issues keeping ammo. Now, if you want to pump out some massive damage on this guy, then you could roll double slugs with Anarchy, quick draw glitching between both slugs. With this method, at our power, which was at the time 1265 and 1266, it was an easy 2-phase. This allows for an extra death to happen during one of the phases, as you'll see later. Other options if you aren't going to quick draw glitch are to keep the 2 slugs but only swap when you're out of ammo with 1, so go back and forth essentially from one to the next. You could also use an I Kill Sniper in replace of the first in last out. I haven't tested a rotation with Cloud Strike, but you likely can do a rotation with Heritage and a Rocket or GL with autoloading and a heavy slot with that. No idea if it'd be 2-phase worthy, but the first 2 options are definitely 3-phase kills, and Cloud Strike isn't a bad option. If you have some DSC raid armor to use, you can throw on Herd Thinner and whichever augment mod for your role, but avoid using the scanner mod. It overrides the damage debuff you get from Divinity and ends up lowering your damage output. It's a weird bug, or I'm not sure if it's intended or not, but basically avoid using it because it's going to take away your Divinity damage. Herd Thinner is a pretty small bonus since it's only active when you're not using an active augment, but there aren't really anything else you need to use, at least at the time of making this, there isn't. Really for other mods like Reactive Pulse is good, Protective Light as well. Those are the only 2 I really ever used a whole lot. Moving on to the juicy part, let's go through the encounter as each role. I'll start with the 2 easier ones in my opinion, first to get them out of the way. Alright, so for Scanner, your role is to call out the correct locations for the nukes. Pretty straightforward, right? It's not really any different from the normal role you do with a 6-man team. What you and the rest of your team need to prioritize is breaking 2 of Taniks' crit points at the same time. Dropping them at the same time or within a second of each other or about makes it easier since the nukes have roughly the same timer. You're going to pick up the first one and bring it to a bank location, whichever one you called for. You'll get caught once and the operator should break the shield instantly. If it's far, your radiation might be pretty high in like 7, 8, 9 range, and if that's the case, then on the next nuke run, wait for 6 hand swipes from Taniks as the purple meters are dropping and then go in to break the spots. This will buy you a bit of extra time to help lower your radiation. The second nuke phase is the same as the first, just make sure you call out the spots for your team before going in to get the nukes. Operator has a similar role to Scanner, as you will also be a nuke carrier, but for your role, you cannot pick up the second nuke until you break the scanner out of the entrapment. Once you do that, pick up the nuke and then start moving to the other bank location. You shouldn't need any help for this nuke, however for the second one, the suppressor should run to catch up with you, and if you need them to take it from you, move to meet them so you don't end up dying to radiation. The suppressor can also help on the scanner for the first one if need be, just make sure you call out to your teammates. Both of these nuke runners should have as much mobility as possible. You don't need 100, but the more you have, the easier it is, because you'll have less radiation by the time you get there. I'd recommend at least 70 as a minimum. Usually I was running 80 or 90. If I was scanner, I was running 100. Okay, suppressor is the most challenging role because you must be fast enough to not have a second entrapment spawn. If you're fast enough, the operator won't get trapped and can simply move to their bank. You should try to meet with them to take it if needed, because once Taniks is stunned, he'll make one of the augments inactive. If it removes the scanner, then that's okay, because the scanner will need to die to reset their augment cooldown. If it picks operator or suppressor, then you should try to delay the deposit to lower the scanner's radiation. Hold the nuke until your radiation hits about times 8 or 9, and then bank the nuke, while the player with a disabled augment deposits the augment and then jumps off the map. Important to note though, if Taniks doesn't stun before the second entrapment appears, there is a 1 in 3 chance that it is a wipe, because if the operator loses the augment, he cannot stun. So long as the operator still has their augment, however, you can run to them, take the nuke, and they can break both of you out. In this case, you'll just run to the nuke bank and deposit ASAP. As a Warlock, you can use 1 Icarus dash to make it to each spot for the stun. On Titan, you'll need to utilize the slide and the charged melee to make it fast enough. I would typically melee first and then slide into the third spot. For either class though, try to shoot 1 Anarchy shot on his shield the moment it glows blue. And the Anarchy tick is faster with 1, which is why you should only have that one on at a time. But he can be pretty hard to hit depending on when his shield activates. It can turn on when he's just chilling there, or when he's whipping up and down. In that case, sometimes I'd have to spam Anarchy to make sure I got at least 1 on him and we didn't wipe. Then when I made it to the last spot, I do like a 180 and shoot Taniks with my sniper to be a bit faster stunning him. I found that since suppressor never grabs a nuke on spawn, it's better to snipe the spots from afar while your teammates shotgun them. This will make it so there are less meters all in one place. Just be sure to run to your starting point when a nuke spawns. I'll show you my routes for the suppressor for both Icarus and Stasis that you can use for your own runs here. One thing to note, on the area near the crypt that you enter, the orange area afar from the spawn, on the left suppressor node, you can actually get it from underneath the floor. So go from the higher one down to the middle and then slide up and jump underneath it, and that'll make it activate. To reiterate, the most important point that is shared between all roles is that whichever augment gets disabled should be banked into a transfer location, then the player needs to die to reset their timer. Once they get revived, use this time to grab the augment. So here's an example of someone depositing a disabled augment and then cleansing themselves. Vile had scanner that was disabled after I got the stun on Taniks, so he went to bank it and then died to remove his timer, which prevents him from using it again. Once he's rezzed, he goes back and grabs the augment. Sometimes though, with the suppressor augment, you'll die and pick it up again, but the timer will still be there saying like you have like an inactive augment or whatever. I haven't seen it with the other augments, but the only way I know to fix it is to go to orbit and then reload the CP. There is a method to flawlessly defeat Taniks, but it is a bit more complex, so I'll discuss that strategy in my flawless 3-man guide for the whole raid. After all 4 nukes are banked, Taniks will teleport to the center of the arena and start the damage phase. It doesn't matter where you do your damage, just make sure to get in and out without dying from the debris. Plant well, shoot your Anarchies, and once Divinity is on, start unloading. If you have a NIGHTHAWK, then pop it just after putting your 2 Anarchy shots on the boss. The divinity bubble appears just below Taniks and sometimes won't be visible, but so long as the divinity is on the boss, it'll be there. I preferred to leave the bubble before Taniks boops you up and out, but if you're not paying attention, that can get you smacked as you try to slide out. Strafe jump for Hunter is really good to get back in. When you're airborne, you can just jump forward and it'll push you right back in, but you can just tank the boop and walk back in if you want to play it safe. You'll have time to get enough damage out to kill him. I'm not going to go too in depth into how to double slug. There's a lot of videos out there with a quick draw glitch that you can check out if you want, but I'll just do a quick thing to show you how to do it. Basically, you're sprint canceling your swap animation while holding ADS, and as a result, it immediately pulls up your second gun. So Shift W, I use scroll wheel, and then I go back and forth. So Shift W, swap, holding ADS, and shoot. Make sure you're not walking too far forward. The faster you get at it, the less you'll move forward. If you move too far forward, you may go into his arc shield. For the 2 damage dealers, when you get into final stand phase, it'll be a smart decision to swap to a sniper as well. It makes it a lot easier instead of trying to chase Taniks around, just to be able to snipe him from a distance. Each phase repeats the same as the first, only now you don't need to kill the vandals to get your augment. If you end up 3-phasing, then you can get really unlucky and have the same augment taken 3 times, and this means that you won't have a third res to use. I've only had it happen once in all of our original attempts, but that is a possibility if you do end up 3-phasing, so you've been warned. Like I said earlier, I'm going to start working on a full 3-man flawless guide once this video is uploaded and out there for you who want to get that tag. Anyway, until then, thanks for watching and good luck with your 3-man Taniks kill.